Hey, welcome to Fast Movie. In today's movie, we'll talk about college students who get killed if they don't pass the exam. Don't forget to watch until the end so you fully understand the story. Our movie starts in 2039, at the time when the Earth is overpopulated. As a result, humanity is on the verge of extinction, since the natural resources are lacking. UN has found a solution to this problem by reducing the population of every country by 5%. This law is called the thinning. This practice takes place once a year, and selected subjects are students with the lowest scores on exams. They are then sentenced to death and injected with lethal substances. The next scene shows us two students, a university student called Lena and a high school student called Simon. He is struggling with mathematical equations. Lena wants to help him solve the equations and hands him a digital lens. There is another college student called Blake. He is the son of the governor of Texas. Blake sneaks out to meet his girlfriend Ellie in the car. They start talking about the exam that they're having tomorrow because she is very worried about it. He calms her down and assures her that she will succeed. A guard appears and takes Blake to his father Dane, who is waiting in the office. He is upset with his son because Blake went out of the house during his studying hours to meet his girlfriend. The next day comes, which is the day of the exam, and many students are seen standing in queues in front of the university, where a strict inspection is taking place. Blake asks Lena to give him one of her digital lenses because he wants to cheat in the exam, but she ran out of them. Lena stands in line with her friend Kaylin, waiting for her turn for inspection. During this time, a guard notices a student who is writing the answers with an invisible ink. Once the student becomes aware that he's caught cheating, he tries to escape, but unfortunately ends up being arrested and executed. Since that incident, no one ever dared to repeat this action. After some time in college, Blake hugs his girlfriend Ellie and says goodbye to her. 2-hour exam begins and students start solving problems on the tablet. Lena solves all the problems in a record time, unlike her friend Kevin, who is having difficulties. Once the time runs out, teachers call out the names of the students who failed the exam. This is a very stressful moment for all students, especially for those who hear their names, since they know their fate. Everyone who tries to escape gets brutally beaten. Blake, Lena, and Kevin succeed in the exam, unlike Ellie, whose name gets called out. Blake is desperate to help his girlfriend, and after begging his dad to do something about it, his attempt to save his girlfriend fails, and Ellie faces her fate. The next scene shows us the next year, 24 hours before the exam to be precise, where this time, Lena's little sister Corin is about to take the exam for the first time. Someone's knocking on the door, and once they open it, they see their teacher Berg, who's been taking care of both girls since their mother's death. She is there to comfort them. Meanwhile, Blake is in his room recording a video saying that he will fail this exam on purpose to teach his father a lesson because he refused to save Ellie last year. The day of the exam comes, and Lena and her little sister arrive at the nursery. They watch a cartoon where the state of planet is shown. It is shown that every year, the population of every country is reduced by 5%. It is also mentioned that every couple is only allowed to have one child, and in some places, elderly people are executed. This is why in America, they decided that they want to save the lives of the smartest students, and children who are in the nursery are no exception. They also need to take the exam. Teacher Berg is sad because she knows that some of her students will be executed, and Corin passes the test thanks to her sister's help. Lena and Kevin are in their university, taking exams. Once they're done with it, Blake's result reaches his father. His father is so upset with the results and is afraid for him, which is why he calls the exam director Mason and orders him to switch the tests. Mason does so successfully, and he switches Blake's results with Lena's. So Lena fails even though she did well. Now that we're back at the university, we can see Lena hearing her name being called out. Everyone is surprised. The security goes to arrest her, But Burke protests and tells them that Lena is the best student and that this must have been a mistake. After her negotiation was unsuccessful, she gives Lena the key to escape. At the same time, Blake is amazed at how he has not failed. All successful students throw a party to celebrate their success. Dane, the governor, is on television to announce his candidacy for the presidency of the United States, and he is proud and flaunts the educational system. As a result of the efforts of the system, America is #1 country out of 196 countries in terms of education. That is why the crime rate dropped by 26%. Blake watches his father and leaves the party without anyone noticing. He arrives at the university and hits one of the guards and manages to enter the control room. He sees Lena and the rest of the students who failed the exam. They're standing against the wall and are ordered to take their clothes off. They are then given sterile clothes to put on and go to the execution room. And just when they're about to get lethal injection, Blake manages to cut off the electricity, so everybody takes this opportunity to escape. But shortly after, they're arrested, except for Lena, because she used the key that Mr. Burke gave her. Mason arrives at the room and checks the number of those who escaped. He knows that one person is missing, and that is Lena. He then starts to search for her, while Blake is helping Lena to escape from one of the guards. They then start talking and learn that there is a fraud that occurred. In the stairs, both of them enter the ventilation corridors, so that no one can find them. They walk behind the network cable, which leads them to the main headquarters of the server. They want to reach the computer on which the real results are located, but the university is closed, and no one is allowed to enter or leave it until the electricity problem is solved. This news quickly spreads on TV and internet channels in the world, and every single parent is worried about the child who is still inside the university. Dane then calls Mason to check on his son's condition. At the same time, the air in the air passages pushes Blake, and he falls into the swimming pool. Lena bounces behind him until she reaches him and takes him out of the water. Blake doesn't breathe, so Anna performs first aid on him and saves him. They then take their wet clothes off and switch them for the ones they found in cupboards. As they continue walking in the airway, Lena loses the key, which falls on the ground in front of a guard. But thankfully, he doesn't notice. Lena will now need to retrieve the key in any way possible, and her plan is to enter the science lab and attach a rope to a magnet so that she can retrieve the key while she is in the airway. They pick up the required tools from the lab, but because of the sounds that they're making, a guard approaches the door. Lena runs away to the air corridor, but Blake doesn't make it. And as she's about to go and grab the key, one of the guards notices it and grabs the key before her. Soon after, we discover that this guard is actually Blake, who is disguised as one. He was able to beat up the guard and make him lose consciousness. Not long after this incident, the guard appears and talks to Mason and tells him what happened. Mason gathers all professors to find out how Lena got the key. The interesting fact is that Burke stole the key from one of the professors without him noticing. Mason searches the professors and checks the key and ID cards from everyone. Burke shows him her ID and gets away with it. They arrest the person from whom Burke stole the key. He asks him about Lena's location and threatens him, but the teacher doesn't know anything, so Mason hits him in the face. At the same time, Lena enters the server room and uses the key to open the computer, but she finds that there is a security code on it, so she sends a message to Kevin, who has experience in hacking devices. He manages to crack the computer when Lena finds out that her result is 98%. However, Blake only got 15% and he succeeded. As she's looking for more results, she finds Ellie's score of last year, which was 88%, and she then sees that there are people who got lower marks and still succeeded. Lena now knows that the governor is the one who determines who succeeds and who fails. As she's sending all the files to Kevin, the electricity comes back on and Mason sees what's happening in the server room. She sees Lena trying to escape from the room, but she gets arrested. They also find out that Blake is disguised in guard's clothes. At the same time, Kevin receives the files that Lena sent to him and is shocked by knowing the truth. He has a connection with some people who work in the news channels, so he contacts one of them. He sends him all the files, and these channels leak all results. Dane manager then calls him and tells him that he can take his presidency away. To execute all those who failed, Mason and the guards take Lena to the execution room, and this time, Blake is with them. Mason calls Dane to issue a death sentence, but Dane asks him to stop because one of the students that is there is his son. The guards arrest Blake and the rest of the students and execute them. When the university doors open, Lena comes out and sees her family. At night, people who were spying on students that failed find the ground sensor. They find out that the lethal injections are actually narcotics. They notice the bright lights and realize that there is an underground factory full of workers. And Blake sees a surprise. Ellie, his girlfriend, she is still alive. And she has been working in this factory for a year. Now we know that all students that are supposed to be executed are actually enslaved. This project was created by America to increase its profits.